We thought it'd be a good day to check in with Tom Bevan from RealClearPolitics.com. Let me tell you, the Real Clear Politics website is one of the places that I start my day every morning preparing for this show. And if you love politics, it's a great place to go. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
We're doing very well. Okay, so listen, after all has been said and done, not all has been said and done because we have to look at the polls. So where are the polls, and how is the Donald doing after all of this?
Well, we're still waiting for some data to come in. You know, NBC News, Chuck Todd on Meet the Press unveiled this poll. It was an online poll taken over a 24-hour period, on Friday and Saturday after the debate. So not a scientific poll, not a traditional call-in response poll. So I wouldn't put too much stock in that, but it showed Donald Trump actually gaining some support. We've had some other polls. I think there was another poll out yesterday that showed something similar. But again, that wasn't a poll that I think we're going to have in our average. So we're still waiting for the big boys to come out, NBC News, ABC News, Wall Street Journal, those sorts of polls to get a gauge of where Trump goes. We did get a poll out yesterday, though, from PPP, which is Democratic polling firm out of North Carolina, and they were in the field in Iowa and showed Trump ahead. But the big news in that poll actually weren't Trump's numbers. It was Carly Fiorina who surged ahead to double digits and moved up to, I think, fifth place.
Wow.
She was sort of languishing. Yeah, so I think the one thing that did come out of the debate that we'll see more and more confirmation of is that Carly Fiorina impressed a lot of people, and she's going to be, I think, the big beneficiary of that debate.
I mean, sort of the way I look, and I agree with you that not all these polls are what we call traditional scientific polls, such as there is a science associated with polling. But the trend seems to be, okay, Trump didn't gain all that much. He didn't lose all that much. Sort of flat, maybe up a little. But Carly Fiorina is the huge story. Who else did well?
Well, again, tough to say. I think, I think most of the candidates on stage in both debates, the first and the second debate, did fine. I mean, there were no huge blowups, no car wrecks, no catastrophic mistakes. I think all of them, tried to take their shots and take their opportunities when they had the chance, and for the most part, acquitted themselves pretty well. But that being said, outside of Carly Fiorina, there weren't really any standout performances. I mean, I think John Kasich probably helped himself a little bit. I thought Marco Rubio performed well. Everybody else did just fine, but not well enough to have some dramatic shift in their standing in the polls. So I think perhaps we'll see Kasich come up a little bit, and we might see a couple of other folks come down, a tick or two, and we'll just have to wait and see.
We're hearing now that Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, has stopped paying salaries in his campaign offices. Is sort of the fallout from the demarcation line that was drawn at the Fox News debate where there was a top 10 and then there were the people who weren't the top 10. Is the fallout now candidates like Rick Perry are finding it unable to get contributions at the level that they had because of that?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is that is one of the consequences of having a field this large, right? There are only so many donors. There's only so much money out there. I mean, there's a lot of money out there. But when you've got someone like Jeb Bush who's locking down hundreds of millions of dollars, it does become tough. And while you can certainly run campaigns on shoestrings, and we've seen that done in the past, it is going to be hard for a guy like Perry, who's sort of a tweener, if you will. He's not he's a legitimate candidate certainly, but is struggling to break into that top tier, and it's going to be tough for him to make it all the way to that first vote in Iowa to get some sort of confirmation or validation of his candidacy.
It was kind of early on when we saw people like Tim Pawlenty, governor of Minnesota, drop out last time around 4 years ago. Are you expecting between now and, say, December that people like Rick Perry or some of the other candidates who are not raising money, are you expecting them to drop out?
I mean, Larry, I don't know. I mean, I would say, it would seem, perhaps realistic that you might have one or two pull the plug before the first vote. I think the winnowing process will really start with that first vote in Iowa, and certainly the second vote in New Hampshire the following week. We'll see this field, I think, culled down pretty quickly. But yeah, you might see someone drop out who just, someone who wanted to make it to the first debate to see if their message would catch fire, and decides that for whatever reason their message isn't resonating or catching fire. I think we've got a couple more debates coming, so we're probably going to expect people to stand for that. But you might see a couple people drop out before the first vote is even taken.
All right, so let's talk about this phenomenon that is Donald Trump. Because, just to set the polls aside, this guy is just a different kind of creature in the world of politics right now, isn't he?
Yeah, unquestionably, we've never seen anything like this. Even if you go back to sort of Pat Buchanan, I don't think Ross Perot, some of these other populist type candidates, you've never seen the sort of the mix of celebrity and ego, and the guy can get away with saying basically whatever he wants. It appears. The normal rules of politics simply are not applying to Trump, and Republicans are hoping that's a temporary thing and that they will start applying to him pretty soon. Democrats are obviously thrilled with how this is going, and to the extent that Trump stays in the spotlight, I think it only helps to gloss over the very real problems that the Democrats have on their side, not only among their candidates, but also issues when you talk about Black Lives Matter, and you see what's happening with Bernie Sanders and others. So I think, but you're absolutely right, Brian. This is something we haven't seen before.
But let me just explore that just for a minute, because he's polling somewhere around 20%, and I remember back when Ross Perot ran, I think he got 19% of the vote. Is there always about 19-20% of the people in America who are just hacked off and who find favor with a messenger who just goes after the establishment?
Yes. I'm not sure it's always that big, but certainly when you have these periods of economic anxiety, you've got, look at Congress's job approval rating. It's 13%. People are pissed off. They don't think the government is working. They don't think the people in Washington understand them or are listening to them or have anything to do with their everyday concerns. And so you do have I think that number is bigger now. 20% may go up even higher than that. But the question is, where is that ceiling for Donald Trump? And it's easy to be the front runner in a field with 17 candidates. If this field shrinks down to 4 or 5 candidates, then can Trump expand his support, or will he be relegated to sort of that limit of 20% who's really angry at what's going on?
It'll be an interesting several months. Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics. Thanks for joining us.